Frank was exhausted, but not from chasing his dream. He was tired from pretending he was, for years. By 6:12 a.m., Frank was already tired. Not the "I didn't sleep well" kind of tired. This was the deep, spiritual exhaustion of a man who had been almost chasing his dream for 6 straight years. His alarm went off at 5:30 a.m., like it had every weekday for as long as he could remember. He snoozed it twice, argued with life once, and finally dragged himself out of bed. Somewhere in his head, the dream, the real one, was still asleep. Frank worked a regular 9 to 5. Stable. Respectable. The kind of job parents brag about to relatives they don't even like. Frank works in operations, his mother would say proudly. No one ever asked what that meant. Frank didn't either. What Frank actually wanted was to run his own business. He had the idea. He had the name. He even had a logo saved on his phone. What he didn't have was time. Or energy. Or commitment. But mostly, if he was honest, he didn't have courage. Every January, Frank made the same promise. This year, I'm going all in. By January 15th, he'd revise it. Let me first stabilize. By February, the dream became a weekend thing. By March, it turned into a "when I'm less busy" thing. By June, it quietly moved to next year. Frank loved the idea of entrepreneurship, but he also loved his monthly salary, and his health insurance, and the quiet comfort of knowing rent would be paid without him having to believe in himself too hard. So he tried to keep both. Cake on the plate, cake in the mouth. The job wasn't terrible, and that was the problem. If it had been awful, if his boss screamed or the office was toxic, he might have snapped and left. Instead, it was fine. Meetings that could have been emails. Emails that required meetings. A boss who said, "Let's circle back," like it was a personality trait. By the time Frank got home every evening, his brain felt like someone had wrung it out like a wet towel. He'd drop his bag, change clothes, and sit on the bed for 5 minutes. 2 hours later, he'd wake up confused, scrolling through his phone with one sock still on. The dream sat quietly in the corner of the room. An unopened laptop, unread business books, notes titled "Big Ideas" collecting dust. Frank had a favorite sentence. "I'm tired because I'm working so hard." It sounded noble, responsible, like progress, but the truth was uglier. He wasn't tired from building. He was tired from avoiding risk. After dinner, after resting, after one episode of something, just to relax, he'd open his laptop, stare at the screen, and close it again. Tomorrow, he told himself. Tomorrow always showed up busy. On Saturdays, Frank transformed. Suddenly, he was motivated. Suddenly, he was an entrepreneur. He watched videos titled, "How I Made $10,000 in 30 Days, and Quit Your Job and Do This Instead." He nodded aggressively, took notes he never looked at again, and liked videos like that counted as effort. By Sunday night, anxiety crept in. Monday was coming. The dream quietly packed its bags again. One evening, Frank did something dangerous. He calculated the hours. His job took 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month. His dream? On average, maybe 3 hours a week, on a good week, and he was angry that it wasn't growing. That was the moment reality cleared its throat and said, "Sir, be serious." The funny part was that Frank was exhausted but not fulfilled. He had security without satisfaction, a paycheck without pride, stability without excitement. He lived stuck in the middle, too comfortable to leap, too frustrated to relax. His friends noticed. "You're always tired," one said. "But nothing is really changing." Frank laughed it off. Inside, something stung. One night, he caught his reflection in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles, slumped shoulders. A man who looked like he was waiting for permission to live. And it hit him. He wasn't failing because he lacked talent. He was failing because he was trying to live two opposite lives at once. He wanted the safety of employment and the rewards of entrepreneurship. The comfort of routine and the excitement of growth. Zero risk and maximum result. Life doesn't work like that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Frank had to choose. Not dramatically. No fireworks. Just quietly. Honestly. Either the job was temporary and the dream deserved real effort, or the job was the path and the dream needed to be let go. Because the middle was killing him slowly. Frank didn't quit his job the next day. That wouldn't have been realistic. What he did instead was harder. He stopped pretending. He stopped calling fear being practical. Stopped calling exhaustion hard work. Stopped lying to himself about effort. He committed in ways that didn't look impressive online. He woke up earlier without motivation. Worked on his business when excitement didn't show up. Sacrificed comfort. Missed sleep. Said no to distractions he used to call self-care. Progress was slow. Painfully slow. Some weeks nothing happened. Some months felt pointless. But something subtle changed. Frank started respecting himself again. 6 months later, there was no viral success. No overnight breakthrough. But there was momentum. And momentum feels better than comfort ever did. Frank still had cake. But now it sat on one plate. And he finally understood the truth he'd avoided for years. Trying to keep everything safe had cost him the one thing he wanted most. The real risk was never failure. It was realizing you never really started.